Hello again, everyone. I'm here today to share my latest Jerry's Artorama haul, exclusively containing these Faber Castell Pitt brush pens. Now, these are great brush pens for mixed media, and I will kind of explain how I use them as I go through. I'm going to swatch them all. These are somewhat water soluble, and I'll explain that too here in a minute. First off, I'm going to unbag these and put them in some kind of color order. So they do have sets of these, but I purchased these as individual pens because I already have some colors. I already have quite a few colors actually, but these were colors that I was kind of missing. And like I said, as I go through, I'll tell you how I use these in my mixed media. So there we go, one more there. Ooh. So I got some fairly muted tones. If you wanted to just start out and you like to draw with these, I would get sort of a basics set. Like I said, these were just some holes in my collection that I decided to fill with these. I actually already have a dark indigo, which is what this is, but I have it in the soft brush. So the brush pens, so these also come in sort of fine liners in these same colors. Well, I'm not sure if it comes in all the same colors, but they do come in a variety of colors. And I do have one or two of those, but I generally don't use them. The ones that I use the most are the brush pens. And then the brush pens come in both B, which is just regular brush pen, which is a little bit stiff. And then they also come in a soft brush, which is, the brush is much, much softer. I don't have any of those here in this selection today, but I do have a few in my collection. So this is in dark indigo. I'm going to put these, like I said, in some sort of color order. This is nougat. Let's see what we have here. This is cobalt turquoise. This one is light cobalt turquoise. And then I have light indigo, which to me looks a little purple. I'm going to put it here on the spectrum, and then we'll sort of see when we swatch it out where it really belongs. Let's see, where are we going from here? Okay, so then this is a beige red. This one is light skin, and I've already said before how much I'm not a fan of them calling light colors skin colors. This is a medium skin color. Like I said, you know, skin comes in a variety of colors, and they really shouldn't be keeping that to the lighter colors there. This is an ivory. And then I have a dark chrome yellow. Go with this red one. This is deep scarlet red, and then this kind of nuclear color is a light green. So before I start swatching, I'll tell you how I use these and why I've chosen the colors that I have. So basically I've tried to kind of color coordinate with some of the acrylic paints that I have. So I have a lot of neutrals, and when I paint in mixed media, I generally use a lot of neutrals, sort of fading out, try like to create a glow. These colors on top of either white gesso or similarly colored acrylic paints will help blend different materials together and sort of make them more cohesive. And also on gesso or other materials, if you brush the color on there and then lightly brush over it with a water brush or a wet paintbrush, I usually use an acrylic brush. This is actually a watercolor brush. You will get a really nice fade of color. So I don't generally use these to draw with. I'm using them as essentially pure pigment in a brush form. So let's go ahead and test these out today. I'm wondering if I should use a different brush since I don't think I have any acrylic brushes up here today, but I think I am going to use a synthetic brush and then make sure I brush it out or wash it out really well afterwards, because I'm still going to be using it for my watercolors. This is a Princeton Heritage Round number 10. So I'm going to be using that, and I have to use it immediately essentially, otherwise the color will soak into the paper, and that's another thing. So if you want to use these in the method that I had just demonstrated, like sort of using them as a wash of color to blend different pieces of your work together, you should be using something to prime your paper. So whether that's gesso or other acrylic paint over the top, and then putting these over the top of them, that would be preferable, because as you'll see, I'm not even going to get a very good wash on these once I put the water on them, and that's mostly because it soaks into the paper right away, which is why I'm going to come at it right immediately to do the wash. But like I said, it's not going to be perfect. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get these off to the side. And you can use watercolor paper, that's what this is here, to do mixed media, but again, I would prime them before putting these colors on. And another thing to note is once this color dries on a canvas or board or paper or whatever, it's going to be permanent, and you're not going to be able to re-wet it and move it around. So, and that makes it a little different from some of the other mixed media supplies. I'm actually going to do a separate video on favorite mixed media supplies at some point. This will be one of the ones in that, and I'll probably pick my favorite colors and show those to you. But there are some other mixed media supplies, like, for example, the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2, which is water soluble, but it never becomes permanent. You actually have to fix it with something like a matte gel medium or something like that in order for it to become permanent, because it can always be re-wet. But that is not the case with these Faber Castell markers. They will not re-wet. So here we go. I'm just going to do a block of color for this one. And see, if you come at it right away, you do kind of get a blend out, which is nice. I'm going to do that with all of these colors, and it's not as nuclear as the pen would indicate. So that is light green. And another reason why I like these pens is that they are essentially color fast, most of them. They do have color fastness ratings on them. Let's see. I think it's here with the asterisks. Like this, there's only one asterisk on this one, and then there's 3 on this one, and I can't remember which is which, whether it's 1 is excellent or 3 is excellent. So here's the red, and that's pretty saturated. See, you're okay if you come at it right away, but if I were to leave this for any length of time and then come back and try to put water on it, it would not blend out that way. And it also probably depends on what they call the sizing of your paper. Most paper has some sort of treatment to it that makes it best for whatever media you're working with. This is watercolor paper, so that's really what it is primed for. And it has some sort of sizing, what they call sizing, to make sure that it works well with watercolor. And I'm not sure what exactly it is, but just know that there is something added to the material. Okay, so this one is, let's see, this is dark chrome yellow, and again this has a 3 asterisks. I'm guessing that the 3 is the higher light fastness. And I'm being really careful to rinse out my brush after every one, because like I said, I'm still planning to use this brush for watercolor, so I don't want these pigments to dry on the brush because it'd be really hard to get out. And I'll show these close up to the camera at the end here. And although I will do this now, because you can kind of see here it's already started to soak into the paper where you've got this hard line. If you do want to use it this way, where you're going to be drawing and then maybe blending out the line, you have to work fast if you're going to be working on a watercolor or something else that's absorbent. And these may be a little bit harder to see. This one's ivory. So, well, you can get a pretty good sense there. But I do like using these neutral colors, and you can see just that color created sort of a glow on the paper, and that's what I'm going for when I'm using these in my mixed media. So this is that light skin color. Same kind of thing, although I think you're getting a little bit more of a glow with that yellow. Okay. This next one is medium skin. Another reason why I like these markers is they do come in so many different colors. I mean, there's just such a variety. So you can see here, I probably waited a little too long. you're already getting this hard line here. And if you use these on a less absorbent paper, like maybe Yupo paper or something like that, that has a coating on it, you probably will not have that problem. But I generally try to get around that just by gessoing a page, putting gesso on it. Even for sketchbook pages. I will use these in sketchbook collages as well and that sort of thing. So this one is beige red, which I think is really pretty. This is that light indigo. Like I said, it still looks pretty lavender to me. Okay. And then this one is light cobalt turquoise. And I don't know why I didn't have these in my collection already, because I love turquoise. And I generally keep these in a little jar, like a jelly jar. And you probably should be storing them flat, but I store them upright with the brush tip up. I haven't really had a problem with it, quite frankly, but I bet if you if you look up how to store my Faber Castell Pitt brush pens, it will probably say flat. And then this is the Nougat. So another alternative to these, and see, you know, like darker colors too, they're going to absorb faster. I'll show you that close up. Another alternative to this would be the Sakura watercolor brush pens. They have sort of a similar quality, but the problem with those is they're not light fast, and they are, I can't remember if they're permanent or not when they're dry, but I don't think they are. And you're not going to get as much color variety. I mean, they do come in quite a few colors, but these are more of sort of an artist grade material or tool, whereas the other watercolor brush markers might not be artist grade. There are artist grade watercolor brushes, but or brush markers, and they're usually pigment based. I'm not sure, these might be pigment based too, which would mean that they would be permanent when they're dry. Let's see if it says India ink. Oh yes, so these are India ink based, so they are not pigment based ink, which is why they're permanent. India ink, waterproof, maximum light fastness, acid free. So yeah, if you want to do something that is going to be archival or artist quality, this is the way to go. And again, you're not going to see very well the lighter colors, but you can kind of see if you use them in layers. Like that's generally what I do when I'm doing mixed media. Put one layer down over another over another. You can mix colors that way, and you can even brush these colors onto a palette, onto a slick palette, and mix your colors that way with a brush. What I would do is I would put out, like say this is your palette, and then I would put a little brush of one color here, and then I'd put a little brush of one color here, and then I would use a paintbrush to mix them, and then you can mix colors that way. But you also have just already an inherently beautiful selection of colors. This is nowhere near the full variety you can get. I think they have, I want to say it's like over 300 colors, but that could be wrong. Don't look it up for yourself. But in any case, Jerry's Artorama does not have a giant selection of colors of these. I'll put that link down below. But if you are looking for other colors in your collection, and if you want a set, they also sell sets that kind of gives you sort of curated sets all together. But I'll put a link to Jerry's Artorama, and if you want sets outside of what they carry there, or individual colors outside of what they carry there, they're widely available at probably your art store, your local art store, and other online art stores. All right, but that's it for today. Feel free to subscribe and keep track of future videos on my channel, and I hope to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. In the meantime, I will see you next time, and have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.